Okay, what is your name?
Robert B. Watson.
And Robert, where are you from?
I'm from right here in Sweetwater.
Okay, what is your birthday?
2749.
All right, are you married?
Yes,
Do you have children?
3 boys and 6 grandchildren.
Okay, well, you want to tell us about your childhood growing up on the farm?
Yes, I'll tell about that. I growed up here on this farm all my life. I ain't never had another job. And my daddy farmed here, my grandpa farmed here. And my folks, the Watsons, come out of Bryson City. And my great uncle, I'm gonna get to this right here in just a minute. He was a marshal, he was a sheriff here at Monroe County, 8 or 10 years, early 1900s. And my mother's folks come out of Cherokee, North Carolina. And when they made the park, they moved in the valley right here. They the one that started the church over here, the Ayers and the Chambers. My first recollection, I guess, of growing up, I told you about my great uncle being the sheriff. My other uncle was a U.S. deputy marshal. He lived right here on this farm. And his wife was Alice. They had a son that was born about the same time I was, but he died at birth. And you might say they kindly took me in as their son. He was a U.S. deputy marshal under Peg Bell and Senator Hugh Calloway. They's all buddies. Well, my mama is the one that kept this family, I guess, in check, because the prayers she set up and asked Jesus to spare us. I can just remember her reading me stories out of the Bible and reading me stories about Abraham and Isaac and all those Old Testament. I remember that. Well, my uncle and my aunt kindly wanted to take me in because they lost a son. She was a registered nurse and she worked at Sweetwater at the clinic for I don't know how long. Anyhow, she passed away in 1957. So I was just about 7 years old. She's the first one buried over here at Cedar Valley, Alice, my aunt. Well, my uncle was a U.S. deputy marshal. And they'd all time bringing him guns in. He's all time shooting rifles. They'd bring fully automatic guns in for him to get ready to, he had to go guard the president when he made the park, dedicated the park in North Carolina, Roosevelt. And he was one of them that helped dedicate the park. And they'd bring these fully automatic guns in. And I've been used to guns. I was used to guns all my life. Okay, when I'm growing up down here with Jehu. I was maybe 5 years old. And we'd ride around in his 55 DeSoto, 1955. We'd go over here at the beer joints. I'd get some change. 5 years old, 6 years old. I'd play all the machines and he'd go in there, I guess, drink a beer, whatever, make sure there ain't nobody selling liquor. Cause that's his job. He'd go in the mountains and try to find out who's making moonshine. I'd play all them machines. And that's where I learned to play the pinball. Okay, now I want to show you something. I'm 5, 6 years old. Standing down here with my Uncle Jehu. All right, when I was a kid, I didn't play with cap guns. I played with real stuff. This is my great uncle's handcuffs. I'd put them on and put my stuff on, have these handcuffs. When I was little, I'd put this badge on my great uncle, Sheriff, Monroe County. I'd put that badge on, put these handcuffs. So I got me a set of pistol things, but I took the cap guns out. Right here's one of the guns that I carried when I was 5 years old. 32 Smith, been in the family over 100 years. I carried that gun right here. And he had a pistol that I carried. This is not the pistol. I'm showing what it looked like. This is Smith & Wesson. The one I carried was a 4-inch barrel that shot 38s. I'd put them guns on at 5 years old, put emptyings in them, make them think it's real shells. So here come all the big shots to see my uncle. He's a big wheel. It all come in and had a fence around it right out yonder. You can't see it here, but lived right out there. Had a fence or had a gate. I never did pull the guns out on nobody, but they'd see that they had shells in them, put the empties. Okay, they'd have to call Jehu out there. Senator Hugh Calloway, all the big shots. Senator Hugh Calloway, Calloway Farms up here, he owned it. Calloway Straight at Loudon. Anyhow, that's what I was dealing with growing up. I've been around guns and continually. And we'd ride around in that DeSoto. The air conditioner, 55. So my mama found out. Now you have to understand, he had a son that died that's my age. And they kind of wanted to take me in. And then he lost his wife in 57. Well, anyhow, I don't know. He just done the best he could. My mama found out that we was visiting these beer joints. I had an awfully smile to them. I still call them beer joints. Everything else had changed. They're lounges. They're this. They ain't nothing but a beer joint, in my opinion. And that's what I growed up with, listening to it. Anyhow, as I got older, I still helped farm. I never had another job. I always helped here on the farm. I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And I'm the one, I guess, chose here to farm and help my daddy. My daddy liked to bird hunt. All the Watsons liked to bird hunt. Didn't do no deer hunting, it's always bird hunting. Always somebody here wanting to go bird hunting. And I can remember growing up, and I remember my first car I had, 62 Super Sport. Oh, yeah. I was about 16 years old, red, 4-speed, small block. I thought it was the meanest thing around. It wouldn't fall out of a tree. I didn't beat nobody with it. All my brothers and my cousins all fool with cars, drag racing. I guess that's why I listened to all that. And that's what I started getting into. But anyhow,
we're going to get back to that in a second.
I won't tell you about. Okay, we're going to get back to drag racing in a minute.
Yeah, no, I've got some questions about that.
Okay.
I remember a story from when I was young. How'd you get the nickname Snake?
Well, I went to Sweetwater 2 years and 2 years at Loudon. I didn't know nobody up there. I got to call everybody Snake because I didn't know who they was, and they started calling me that. So I guess that stuck with me till I die.
I've always wondered that my whole life, and I never have asked. All right. Well, now we can get back to that drag racing. Now, when I was young, I heard a story about you and maybe prior, I'm not sure who, drag racing dump trucks out here on the farm.
Racing the what?
Dump truck.
No, I never did get to doing that out here.
I just misremembered.
It's all serious business when I was racing.
Oh, okay. Well, tell me about that.
I want to tell you about my 62. Tell you how the Lord spared me. I was coming to the old Sweetwater Church one night about 9 o'clock. Doing about 50 or 60, come out of the old Cedar on Highway 11. Now this is before the interstate was built. The interstate was not built from Cleveland, Tennessee to Lenore City, this section. For whatever reason, it wasn't built. All the traffic went up Highway 11. Okay, I'm heading down through there heading to Sweetwater about 9 o'clock at night. I get down there at Jack Randolph's. He lived on the left down there, right past the church. I see a flash. Lord, there's somebody wrecked. When I got up there and turned around, there's David Jenkins. He just bought a brand new 67 Impala, big block Chevrolet. This guy pulled out and they hit. They hit right there. My cousin was following. I didn't know all these people was following. He comes in there and almost hits him. He went off into the creek. Johnny James comes up and slides. He just barely gets up there and stops. There they are in the middle of Highway 11 wrecked. Jackson had the pickup truck. He pulls out and he hits him. I don't know how fast they was going. I don't know. Jenkins, I get back up there. Jenkins is dead. Jackson's dead. Rodney Martin was sitting in the seat. I went to school with him. Sheriff Martin's boy. Went through the windshield, come back. Terry Russian sitting in the back seat of the Impala. Wanted to scratch on him. His mom had been praying for him. Anyhow, that didn't have no effect on me. About 2 years later, I buy this Rambler. Me and my two buddies buy this Rambler, an old Rambler. We go bird hunt in it. Put a piece of plywood in the back. Let our bird dogs out. Buy this Rambler. $25. We go down there and get it. Joe Matu said everything's fine if you don't back up. I said, what's wrong? Said the tie rod's out. You back up, a wheel lay down. Well, they put me in charge of driving it. Sure enough, I had to see if it would do it. Its wheel lay down. You pull up and straighten up. And I get in that thing next day going to Loudon High School, going up Highway 11, 60 and 70 miles an hour. Now, it ain't got no tags. It ain't got no insurance. It ain't got no title. And the tie rod's baling wires hold it together. So I get up there and outside, I'm leaving. I'm going to leave early. I jump in old Rambler and head back down. Come to old Sweetwater Church. Start up that little hill. She starts vibrating. Ooh. Here comes the Knoxville News Sentinel semi bearing down on me. And he's getting over. He sees what's happening. He's getting over as far as he can. Wham! I hit them back tires. I don't know how fast I was going. Over 60, I'm sure. I didn't have time to hit my brakes. And that thing was like a NASCAR right in the middle of Highway 11. Now, there wasn't no interstate. Just so happened, no traffic. All four doors is open. It's spinning like a top. I jump out and take off running. Back down that way to flag traffic, because I remember just a year before that, I see them people get killed. That's what was in my mind. I go down there and flag traffic. The old Rambler's still sitting there. All four doors is open right in the center. The old semi sitting down there waiting on me. Finally get some people there to help. Everybody come by knowing me laughing. Big joke, old snake track laughing, going on. I come back down there and talk to the trucker. I said, trucker, how much damage have I done to your truck? He said, it's amazing. It's the amazingest thing I've ever seen. That's what you talking about, trucker. Said, I thought you was leaving me holding a bag. Never thought you was going up there to flag traffic. I said, ain't worried about that. What damage have I done to your truck? I said, look like I just hit your tires. Hell, don't know, son, till we get it to the shop. I said, what could be wrong with it? Now, I sat there with no tags and no insurance, and it's my fault. And what's my daddy going to say? Okay. Could have stuck a hat pin up behind him. Okay. Finally said, we won't know till we get it to the shop. But anyhow, I sent everybody and their brother to call the law up here to get this thing settled. I know we waited there 2 hours. Nobody was sending Knoxville News Sentinel little truck to call the law. Okay. Nobody don't show up. Finally, state trooper shows up. And he writes it up. The tar blowed out. And I'm thinking, yeah, it blowed out. Hit him at about 70 miles an hour. I'd say it did blow out. Anyhow, I asked him, who told you about the wreck? He said, I was driving to Little Old City. I've been at the lamp post at Little Old City, eating dinner. Just happened to drive on it. a miracle that I'm still here, one of the things. But I can tell I can write a book about it. Go.
Well, we were talking about hunting earlier. I'm prompted to ask, tell me about the most quail you ever bagged.
The most quail I ever killed. You talk about in the state of Tennessee, or are you talking about anywhere?
Well, I guess the biggest story you got to tell.
Well, the most quail I ever killed, me and Larry Millsaps and his brother went. I don't know, it's probably in the 70s. I got a picture of picked up 55 quail. I'd say I killed, I don't know, his brother never had hunted in his life, never had shot a shotgun, so you imagine how many he killed. And poor Larry go to sleep in a truck. He's dead now, Larry is, but that's the most that I've ever killed in Loudoun County in Monroe that I picked up.
How many rounds did you take out there?
How many what?
Rounds.
Shotguns?
Yeah.
Heck. Well, run out at Callaway's. Run out, had to go all the way run out Callaway's that morning, and either get more shells while the dogs are set. But that's all I growed up with. Food with guns and dogs and bird hunting.
It's a good way to grow up.
Okay, what about, have you ever met any famous people?
Well, I guess Coach Saban, I met him. And
Who's that?
he's Alabama head coach.
Oh,
I met Saban, and I met Tinkle out in Idaho. He's a head coach at basketball coach, San Diego State. I met the head coach at Kentucky when I was at Loudoun High School, Coach Rupp. I met him.
so did you ever meet Rick Perry? Governor
Rick Perry's the one that we went to Texas. She won't want me to get into this, but we got in trouble out there in Texas hunting without permission. And the governor sent a letter, said me not, with the Watson boys, not to come back to Texas. So they took us to jail, hunting without permission. Sweetwater, Texas. Pay a man to hunt. Pay a man to hunt. There's a $100 bill he charged. They don't even call him. It's all a set-up deal, and it's all about money. Anyhow, Rick Perry he sent me a letter, we're not welcome back to Texas.
I guess you told everybody around here about that.
Oh, well, my wife told me, don't get those boys in trouble. You're responsible. You're responsible. So every night we'd call in, see how we was doing. And one night we didn't call in. Nobody answered the phone. Finally, she got a hold of Travis, and it wasn't good. Couldn't talk to each other, hung the phone up. We was down there pleading her case at Sweetwater Jail in Texas. But we went in every state there was. We've hunted Kansas, Nebraska. We went to Canada hunting, Oklahoma, Michigan several times. I just loved the bird hunting. The boys did too.
So other bird hunting, you're bird hunting, is that quail hunting or grouse hunting?
That's both of them. I remember, talking about that grouse, I remember a buddy of mine took me to Peach Ross, up our grouse hunting. That's where the prison is, back in the 70s. And boy, they was up there. And I got to hunting it, taking anybody to go with me. It was rough hunting. You just had to walk them mountains. That's where James Earl Ray escaped. Well, one day a service guy pulls in, a game warden. He said, we're not allowed to let hunters up here no more. We're making a park out of it. It's going to be called Frozen Head State Park. This was in the 70s. Okay, so I didn't listen. 2 or 3 days later, I'm back up there hunting again. And another guy gets us. Said, you ain't allowed to hunt up here. Said, we're telling everybody, don't be up here hunting. We're making this into a park. Well, I come back, put wig on, and draw me on the mustache and eyebrows where they wouldn't know me. That's how bad I was wanting to go up there. Anyhow, As you know now, it's Frozen Head State Park. You better not be caught in there now with a gun. And my uncle, it was the sheriff. The one that was the sheriff, Perry Watson, he later was chief warden at Peachross. He was a later. I was going to tell you, I forgot to tell you about this when I was a kid. I take these handcuffs to school, 5th grade, 6th grade. I'd lock people up, put these handcuffs on them. That just wasn't nothing but fun and games. Nothing but fun and games growing up. The best time that you growed up on a farm that there is. It's, I think, in my opinion. But
So when did you start milking cows?
Well, I just about 12 years old, maybe 13, I'd help up there at the old flat barn, and then put that strap on them cows and pour it in a 5-gallon container and take it in there and run it through a strainer. And then in '67, we built a new barn.
So how many cows were you milking in the flat barn?
Probably 20, maybe 25.
And when you moved to that new barn, you increased it to what?
Maybe 125 probably, more or less. I remember, you ought to get back on this fool feast cars. I remember ordering this '67 Super Sport, big block Chevrolet. And I remember I was at Loudon, had 2 of my buddies with me. Up there at Loudon at the old A&W going toward Little Orange City. And we was just riding around. Wasn't breaking no laws. And 3 things I had going for me. My mama praying, the Lord showing mercy, and I didn't drink or use drugs. But I done other things that was displeasing. Anyhow, I look up toward Little Orange City, look back toward Loudon, I pull up and I set her on fire. It looked like a AA fueler, smoking a big block Chevrolet. Get ready to cross the bridge, state trooper. Walks says, "See your license." I said, "I guess you've heard this all your life at home. Get in the car, you're going to jail. Has anybody's got license?" I said, "You have to ask them." They had license. Followed us down here, we're taking him down here to Sheriff Russell, the jail at Loudon. Took me down there, said, "Russell, here he is, do what you want to him." I'm leaving him with you. The other 2 boys sitting in the car. I said, "Trooper, I want to ask you something. You've got me. You've got me up here. I want to know, tell me the truth." I said, "I looked up toward Little Orange City and didn't see you coming. You just assumed the Chevelle's the one that lit the tires up, the first car you pulled in. And you just assumed that was me. You got it. Well, you've got me." So I tell Russell, I was sitting in there, I said to Sheriff Russell, I said, "I'm allowed to call, ain't I, Russell?" Wasn't nobody there but him and his girlfriend. She run the radio. "Who you want to call?" I said, "We'll call Sheriff Davis at Monroe County Jail. He was the sheriff at Monroe County. Him and my daddy was friends. Just so helped Sheriff Davis here. This is '67, okay? Got a hold of the sheriff, put me on, "Sheriff, it's Snake Watson. I need your help." "Where you at, boy?" I said, "Russell's got me up here at Loudon Jail." "Be there in a minute, boy. Everything's a boy." "Okay." I go over and sit down. The other 2 boys don't never come in. Just ever how long it took Kenneth to drive from Madisonville to Loudon. He walks up them steps. Russell, nobody been there yet. Russell, his girlfriend. His first thing Kenneth says, "Russell, I've come after the boy. What's it gonna take to get him out?" And Russell said, they must have had friction because they never did shake hands or nothing. He said, "Russell, I've come after the boy. What's it gonna take to get him out?" Russell ain't said nothing. Kenneth reaches in his pocket. He pulls out a roll, I guess is real money. I don't know if it was fake. I don't know if it was Monopoly. I don't know if it was ones. About that big, rubber band around it. He said, "You know, Russell," he sticks it back in his pocket. He said, "You know, Russell, I may have not have brought enough money to get the boy out. Russell still ain't said nothing. Kenneth reached in his billfold, and honest to goodness, don't know if it's 20s, I don't know if it was fake, don't know if it was Monopoly. It was that thick in his billfold. He said, Russell, I've come after the boy. What's it gonna take to get him out? Finally he said, Kenneth, it'll be $40. Give him 2 20s. He said, let's go. We go back down the steps, and these boys got license to drive. I said, yeah. Follow us down here to the line. I get in the car with Kenneth. They take me down here at Philadelphia Davis Tractor, Monroe County, Loudoun County line. He said, now get in your car and go home, boy. And I'll tell you one more story about the Chevelle. Tell you one more story. The motor in it wasn't big enough. I was towing it, the Loudoun drag strip, towing it. I was winning C stock. Every time I was there, I was winning C stock. It wasn't fast enough. The law got after me one time at Loudoun. It was geared low for drag racing. She started knocking. Pull over. Grimes. He let me go. He knew me. I done slowed down. Didn't have no choice. So we started taking it to Athens at Elders Chevrolet. Two of my same buddies followed me with a chain. It's knocking. Going down Highway 11 doing about 20. And just we got down there at the lake, before you get to Loudoun, it's when that rod come out, blowed her up, took it on to Elders. They put the biggest thing that Chevrolet made, L88 427. The biggest thing that Chevrolet had. Brought that thing in, I remember just getting it wound up, and taking my time with it. Decided to come in, decided to go into town with the headers loose. Loudest thing you've ever heard, them big block Chevrolets with the headers. So I eased into town right there in front of Waymar's at Sweetwater. Had a cream cup there. I was getting me a milkshake. Well, the law, Bigfoot Mashburn, had already knew who I was. He went down there and hid and waiting on me to go home. Hid down there at them hedgerow bushes. I didn't know it. And I eased into town. I didn't get fast coming in. And I decided to turn it loose. And when I turned off, he's after me. That's the closest he ever seen. I pull in down here tomorrow, the old dairy barn, just getting done milking. And here they come. Had a Monroe County warrant, Loudoun County warrant. He walks in, Bigfoot walks in, he said, call my daddy Babe. Babe, we've come back to the boy. What's he done this time, Bigfoot? Got him for 9 accounts, Babe. Is that right? Everything but drunk driving. My daddy said, why don't you put that on there? Make it look good, don't leave that off. Well, you boy don't drink, Babe. And they slugged me in there. Met our old Sweetwater church, took him back, the guy from Loudoun, slugged me into jail, 2 hamburgers and a glass of milk for supper. And the fine was $300. And they already took me $300.67. $300. They should have took me out there and beat the holy dickens out of my legs. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. But my daddy and mom was good to me, but he had to sell a cow. But I'm going to tell you about this drag racing. I was good. Ain't a bragging if you can back it up.
That's right.
I could hit those gears. I'd come out of that line with those slicks at the drag strip. I was up there. I was at the drag strip at Loudoun. I was watching that Christmas tree come down, trying to figure it out how to get a little bit of lead on those lights. And the clutch comes out of this car. My buddy's sitting there running the Christmas trees. It hit his leg, bones everywhere. He just died here last year, Bill. Anyhow, part of that clutch come out and hit the car next to it in Cleveland and went through the motor. You're supposed to have a blow-proof scatter shield around your clutch and pressure plate. Nobody can afford $75 to get one. Chevrolet's was aluminum. Okay, I didn't learn no lesson. I'm back up there at 67 getting ready to race. warming it up. I go into third gear and it explodes like a hand grenade. I just found out the other day a piece of it went toward the people sitting at the tracks. And the Lord looking at me beyond measure. Just so happened all that it's like a hand grenade. It blowed the hood up. It tore the transmission. It tore the frame in two. Everything exploded. Clutch, pressure plate, flywheel. Didn't learn no lessons a week or two before that and see that car blow up. I remember my buddy, tell you one more. My buddy bought this GTO Judge 69. Biggest thing he could get in it, Railmire 4. He put a set of recaps on it. And we're going to deer hunting at Fort Campbell in it. GTO Judge 4-speed, Railmire 4. Biggest thing you could get. We're cruising down I-40. Trans Am pulls up beside us, wanting the top end. I hated top end racing. I'd go through the corner and shut it down. I hated going through curves. I hated top end racing. He kept on aggravating us. Trans Am, wanting the top end it. Smith said, get him. We started out, he was in the left lane just as I got even with him. No telling how fast. The Judge at that time was geared for top end. It wasn't geared for drag racing. Just as we got even. Are you listening? That man called Jesus is riding with. The tar exploded on the left side. The recap slung off. But it didn't blow the tar out. I couldn't drive it. It had all that spindle like that. Finally got it slowed down and eased over. And the guy come back with racing, see how we was doing. It blacked his whole hood and backed his trunk where part of it hit it, but he's okay with it. That was nice. I thought, well, you boys okay, I'm going on. Old guy come back to help us on the interstate. Been doing it a long time, boys. It's the worst I've ever seen. It's about like that Rambler tar blow. I'd say it did blow out and I hit that semi. It's just, I can tell this stuff. I remember taking that Judge, Smith blowed the Railmire up. And we're supposed to race some guys at Loudon that weekend. So we go to Bigfoot's Auto Parts. It's in Oak Ridge. And by a 427 that come out of a Corvette, putting that Chevrolet in that GTO Judge. Oh, that thing was stout. We break in the drag strip at Loudon. They's getting ready to float, getting ready to dam it up, and that be underwater. We broke in and run that 55 Chevrolet with 2 4s. I padded the gas on him, it wasn't even close. So we getting ready to leave Loudon, they run us down. He's getting ready to leave Loudon, going out of town. At Loudon, they run us down, blinked the light. Said, you watch, you got one more run before you leave. So they went and got this boy and had a Camaro, Z28, red, white stripe. So we go back to the Loudon drag strip. Go back out there to run him. Well, they're down there on the far end. I didn't know it. Beef cows was on the track. And they trying to stop the race. Well, they didn't know what was going on down there. They trying to get them off the track. Well, somebody flags. That's it. As I get down there, honest to goodness, I done beat this Camaro about like that 55. There's a cow here and a cow here. I just kindly split them. They didn't do a, let me get this snot off here. Just kindly split them. I just think I'd hit one of them suckers. Oh yeah. Anyhow, it seemed like it was every night a racing. Seemed like every night we ended up getting a T-bucket. I've raced all these cars, these Mopar Roadrunners. I've drove them for people, these GTOs, cause I was good. It ain't a bragging if you can back it up.
How did you do that and milk the cows too?
That's a good question. That's why I can't get no sleep. I'd come in and go to bed. I remember growing up, what we done growing up, I had this 63 Falcon. And that's what I bird hunted in. That's what I frog hunted in. And I'm going to tell you a story. Tell you a story about this. This right here is a flyer. You pull it out and you scratch it, and it makes people in trouble. Well, my uncle down here, my cousin, was shooting dynamite. And he learned me how to shoot dynamite. Okay. Dynamite that had back in was about like, it was red. One stick would be about this long. Okay. You take them dynamite fuses, you stick down in it, you take a flashlight battery, and that's what makes it explode. Okay. So I get this dynamite, got these fuses. I called my brother at Teleco. He's up there running the big lake up there.
Indian Mountain.
Yeah. He's the boss. I'm like, Coach, coming up there some dynamite, so let's get us some trout. So we had an old 63, me and my two buddies. We got dynamite. We got them fuses. Those fuses, they's about as big as your little finger and about that long. It had two wires coming out of them, just little bitty wires. All right, some of them was 2 seconds, some of them was 3 seconds, or 1.5 seconds. So we get up there, brothers riding around showing us, let's double camp at Cityco. Big old hole there, let's dynamite it. So I take a knife and cut about this much off, get the fuse, take a pencil, stick it in there, get a bread poke. Put a rock in the bread poke. You got 2 wires coming out. So the hole's so deep on those fuses, maybe just 10 foot long, you had to splice some more wire in there. Okay. All up there was, drop that in that hole. Take that flashlight battery out. Poof, as loud as it'd be. It's just like you see them on World War II trying to get those submarines and blow that water up. But that just shows you how stupid stuff that I've done. Fool with dynamite. Those dynamite caps was so stout they'd blow your arm off. And that's what, anyhow, I want to tell you about another story about this flare. I used these, smoked groundhogs out. Well, about Halloween, I got thinking, I said, strike that right there, get it going. I said, we'll use these to shoot our firecrackers and bulldogs right around, throw them out. Bulldogs and cherry bombs. So we got Tommy Satterfield's daddy's car. I don't know how new it was, his Oldsmobile. And we're riding around, all of us packed in it. And I'm holding that thing out the window and it's spraying. And we're lighting them firecrackers off of it. Well, about halfway down, somebody said the seat's on fire. And one of them sparks had come in there at the back seat and it burned a hole in it. Oh, he come unglued. My daddy's gonna kill me. We burned a hole in this seat, brand new Oldsmobile, right up there at Tilmy Hill. Took that thing home before we turned something else up. Well, lo and behold, I got word the next morning, the car burnt to a crisp. Now, what do you think set it on fire? That's right.
I knew that when you started this story.
Oh, Lord.
Because they spray out everywhere.
You seen them.
I'm using them.
Yeah. Yeah, just some stupidest stuff. I remember my buddy come in Vietnam, 69, Auburn. I said, Auburn, let's run over to the airport. Might be somebody flying a plane. We take us a ride. Went over to Cheese Call. He's dead now. His girlfriend blowed his brains out. Miller, Kenny Miller, he's dead now. He flew all the dope in here. They over there trying to talk people out of jumping. And I go over there, and they were trying to talk me into jumping. I said, heck, it's milking time. I said, I'll jump if you let me jump at the barn. Oh, we don't know where the wires is. Said, go ahead and jump over here. Well, I might try it. Yeah, I get up, he tied my boots up tight as they could get them. Now we got 2 clowns here packing a chute. Okay, they got a clown here going to jump. Okay, they put me on a 5-gallon drum, put a helmet on me, and told me to jump and roll. He's ready. Put the chute on him. They get ready to get me. I said, boys, this thing better open. That's all I can tell you. Well, if it don't open, you count 3 or 4 seconds, and you pull this chute out, it's on your belly. They put the chute on, it's called a static line. It ties it off in the plane. They won't let you rip cord till you get used to jumping. So I'm up there, get out there on that wing, and we pick on your helmet, you turn loose. So I'm hanging on that wing, seemed like forever, hanging out there. They've got me tied off in the plane. They peck on my helmet. I come out like this. I don't remember nothing till it opens. So I'm dead. I ain't gonna fool with that. Anyhow, that's one and only time jumping. I'll tell you, then I decided a few years later, my uncle had a plane down here, and he'd fly me around, do all these spins and stuff. It scared me to death. I couldn't stand it, just terrified me to do those spins. Well, I said, I'm gonna buy a plane. We're gonna fly the dogs out in Nebraska and Kansas. We're gonna fly everybody out there, rent us something to drive. I'm gonna learn to fly. So I'm over at Marty Gagnon, he's still teaching. Every Sunday I'm over there flying on Cessna 150. He said, now, Watson, next Sunday we're gonna do stalls. I said, I ain't wanting to do no stalls. You're gonna learn to do stalls. So next Sunday comes, I talk him out of it. Next Sunday comes, I talk him out of it. He said, next Sunday we're doing stalls and you ain't gonna talk me out of it. You've got to learn to get the plane back under control when we do stalls. So we over there, Cessna 150. I take her up another 1,000 foot. We're gonna do one. And he done one. What you do, you pull the gas back. They're just sitting there basically just idling. And you try to keep that nose up as high as you can get it. And the whole bottom falls out. These bells and stuff goes off. Give it a little fuel. Pull that wheel back. Simple, okay? So we're up there. Now do me a stall. I got that thing in a corkscrew, I call it. We're spinning toward the ground. I don't know how in the world I got it doing that. My hands is froze to the controls. He can't get me loose. I've done lost it. About like jumping out, I've done blacked out. And somehow or another he gets it loose and pulls it out. He's mad, and I'm mad. We're going back to the airport, Watson. That'd be fine. There's nobody talking, nobody saying nothing. He lands it. Check the plane out. Tie it up, check the plane out. He signs off on that pilot book. He said, let me tell you something. When next Sunday comes, I'm gonna have me one of these little bats. And I'm gonna start on your head, and I'm gonna work my way down to your hands. And when I get done with you, you will let loose of those controls. And let me tell you something, Gagnon. When next Sunday comes, I won't be back. So that wound that up.
Okay, tell us a little bit about farming in your older years, the last 20 years. Milking, the crops, what equipment you used.
They co-op would come out here, we'd decide what corn I'd plant for silage and what spray we'd use. And I don't know how many times I'd get off that corn planter. I try to start planting about March 25th for corn silage. I'd get off and pray and ask the Lord to have mercy to send the rain. And I can remember, I guess it's 86, corn didn't get knee high. There's a drought here. But the Lord always provided. The man called Jesus. And he's, I think about trying to think every day that the Lord spared me. That has spared me this long with the stupidest stuff that I've done. And just like he's brainless. As easy going, but couldn't tell me nothing. He's always bird hunting or drag racing or getting ready to farm. And I told the Lord one time, I said, you own it all anyhow, Lord. I ain't taking nothing with us. But that's all I've ever done is milked here. And my daddy always wanted the boys to be good bird killers. And he would take us and between milkings while my daddy's getting old. A dog might set one. Boy, are you ready? Everything is a boy. Boy, get ready. I'm bringing him out now. My daddy only had a 3rd grade education. Smart in the ways. He was, I don't know what else you'd call it, very intelligent. Anyhow, that boy, get ready. I'm bringing him out. You can hear him scream when it come up. If you let it get away, he'd look at you and say, boy, I thought you could kill him. I thought you was a bird killer. Wipe that manure out of your eye. He's done pooped in it. And that's the way we growed up. I remember going out shooting rabbits at night. And I shot those rabbits at night. Take them to town, sell them 50 cents a piece. Good money. We'd go frog hunting.
Is that flashlighting the rabbits?
No, we'd use headlights of a tractor or a car and ride the roads when they cross. If you kill 10 or kill 12, that's 50 cents a piece. That's $6. Gas one about a quarter. Ride around and shoot those rabbits 50 cents. I had regular customers I sold to. I remember Kenneth Davis, the sheriff that come got me out of jail, owned A&W. Well, he ended up selling it for Beamer, Max Beamer, which was the next sheriff. Well, me and my buddy would go down there and clean the frogs at about 2 o'clock in the morning behind A&W, take them in there and they'd cook them for us. Well, all the law would come in. You'd have a lot of buddies eating frogs. Well, about a week later, we're down there getting ready to clean them again at 2 o'clock. Here, Beamer pulls up. You ain't cleaning no more frogs at this back here. You got it stinking. Said, you got maggots everywhere. We ain't cooking no more frogs. So that wound the frog eating up. Beamer was a little upset.
Okay, what would you say to your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren about life?
I always put Jesus first and get saved. Get everything squared away with the master. It's the first order of business, even though I let him down a lot. Let him down a lot. And to be honest, and when you shake, you word you bond. And that's the way I was brought. You word is you bond. You make a shake, make a deal, make a trade, and try to treat everybody right and do what was right. And I don't know, stay off of drugs and stay off of alcohol and don't fool with that. That's one of the things I had going for me.
If you had to have some famous last words, now what would be some famous last words you would like to say to friends, family, or anybody? About anything.
That I would say about myself that I spoke well of Jesus. That's all the thing I'd want them to put. I spoke well of Jesus. And he's the best friend you've got. In fact, he's the only friend you've got. And he's the only way to heaven. And you got to repent and ask him to forgive you and write your name down that Lamb's Book of Life. And try to do the best you can. And try to live a Christian life best you can. Fair looking at me, they barking up the wrong tree. He like them dogs that had the coo, they barked up the wrong tree. But anyhow, the Lord's been merciful and goodness. His mercy endures forever. And I don't know what else I can tell you. I could write a book on this stuff. And I'll tell you one more. I had a tea bucket. I've had all these cars, Corvettes, Chevelles. I bought this tea bucket, 2 Fords. Just 2 people ride it. I traded it for a 55 Chevrolet, big block. Ugliest thing you've ever seen. It's painted the highway paint yellow. Big block Chevrolet 4-speed. They never did to this day tell me if it's a 427 or what it was. Take that thing, kept with slicks in the back. Go to Bassville, who's the meanest thing up there? Let's have him. The Lenore City, who's got the meanest? I want him. Go to Loudon, who's the meanest? I thought it was fun and games. My wife says don't mean the hill of beans. I've heard all them stories. They don't mount the hill of beans.
You gotta enjoy life.
Very expensive. Fool with them cars even today. And I want to tell one more story. My old 63 Falcon that I hunted, hauled dynamite in. I'm at Sweetwater, putting a clutch in at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's an old 6-cylinder. Well, 3 of my buddies come up there, wanting to race that little MG they had. Well, John Hitson, brother, just come in from Navy. They're riding around in it. They're about half lit, 3 o'clock in the morning. They want to go race this Falcon against that little OMG, 4-cylinder. Didn't have no top on it. Big deal. Don't mount the hill of beans, but yeah, we go to Watson's Flat down here. And they put Bill Kyle driving. Well, but 3 or 4 people out there, John Hitson, Mitchell Moore, one more. We come through that corner, and I had him about 2 cars. Well, I let off on it, he loses it. He hits a ditch over here, and it comes up like this. And it throws him out. And when I turn around and go back, he's laying there in the road, a squall, and I thought he was dead. Nobody stayed, they all left. Here I am. Gonna have to take him to the hospital. I know what they're gonna say. I run him off the road, it's my fault. You're going to jail. Out here race, that's a thing going through my head. Old car laying, that little MG laying over there totaled. Bill Kyle laying there screaming. Going on, it done slung him out. Had to take him to the hospital. Anyhow, they throwed it out of court because Bill Kyle was too young. He's just 17 when it slung him out. I mean, I can tell this stuff,
Well, we thank you. We thank you. We hope that people learn from some of your escapades not to do that.
They either believe it or don't believe it. I don't add to enough of these stories. Why should I?
But it really isn't worth it to.
It ain't, no.
For young people.
The haul dynamite around, shoot dynamite,
Right.
17-year-old.
Not worth it for young people to do something.
Hey, me, you know, it's a haul dynamite around. Jump out when you're 17, 18, no training.
Well, we thank you. We may be back.